Most men spend their entire lives following the crowd, doing what they're told and just following everyone else, wondering why they feel lost, why they feel frustrated, and why they feel unfulfilled in life. And they just are going through the motions every single day. So if you're tired of being a passenger of your own life and you feel like you're not in the driver's seat, it's time to grab the wheel by both hands and lead yourself. Hey guys, it's Brendan, and in this video I'm going to take you through 3 key points that's going to allow you to start becoming the leader of your life. Take control, take charge, and start leading yourself, leading everyone else around you. And so the first one is stop seeking approval and validation. This one's big. The moment you stop living for the opinions of others is the moment that you are free. That's the moment you start living for yourself. Every time you follow someone else's expectations, you lose control and you lose direction of your entire life. Approval addiction is real. So many people, they have an addiction to gaining approval and validation from everyone else and the external world because they don't feel whole within, they don't feel valued and worthy within themselves. And so they're looking for that worth and value outside of themselves. I spent a long time in my life seeking approval and validation from people outside of me, and especially females. I traveled the world, quote unquote, trying to find myself. I was working fly in, fly out. So I'd work 4, 5, 6 months and then I'd take a couple of months off. Sometimes I'd work, 12 months and then I'd take 6 months off. Obviously, being single, having no real bills, I kind of saved up some money quite easily, but then I'd just go and blow it because I didn't value myself, I didn't value money. But I was partying all the time, and I really had one goal. Like, if I'm truly honest with myself now, all of that stuff, I was using an excuse to go see all these places. Don't get me wrong, I saw some amazing places. But I think the biggest thing was that I just was seeking approval and validation from how many females I slept with, or how much attention I got from them, not necessarily just sleeping with them. Because I didn't feel whole within myself, I didn't feel worthy, I didn't feel valued, and so it was seeking everything outside of me. And that's where I was getting it. And it also showed up in a number of other areas in life too, especially when I was in construction. I didn't want a hand. Like, if I was doing something, if I was working and building something and someone came over to give me a hand, I'm like, no, it's fine. And I really didn't like people giving me a hand for some reason. And now looking back on it and reflecting, I know it was because it kind of was taken away from the recognition that I would get, and people wouldn't be impressed if other people helped. That was all just this approval and this validation piece playing out. It's funny how it kind of shows up in different people's reality. And for me, when I look back, I can see it everywhere. And sometimes you don't really see it in the moment until you look back and asking yourself, where have I sought approval in the past? Where have I needed the validation? And going back and just asking yourself, where have I seen this? Where have I sought it? Where did I get it from? Even back as a kid, you'll find sometimes too that if you didn't feel loved or appreciated as a kid, then you might do all sorts of behaviors to seek that validation. Sometimes those behaviors can then show up in life. I was a rebel, and that what I learned, if I was to do the opposite, or if I was to play up and be the naughty boy as a boy, as a young kid, then that got me a lot of attention, because even though I was getting in trouble, it still got me a lot of attention. And so that would play out in relationships too. I'd always just go, you know what, I want to do the opposite thing to what they would do. Knowing too well that I wanted to do what they wanted to do, but I would just say, no, I want to do this. And I couldn't really work out why, but it got me more attention. It was just a pattern in a program that was running. So it's not until we actually start asking ourselves these questions that we can find where we do seek this approval and validation from others. And if we don't know, we can't work through it. You don't know what you don't know. So it's about asking yourself those questions, and that was a key thing that really helped me identify the approval and the validation that was going on in my life, so then I could start owning it and owning my worth and owning who I am and not have to need anything externally. Now, Lao Tzu said, care about what others think and you'll always be their prisoner. So many people, they care way too much about what everyone else thinks. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how we show up, whether we show up fully confident as the truth of who we are, or it doesn't matter if we suppress ourselves and try and fit in, people are still going to judge us. So why don't we just allow ourselves to be free? Why don't we just allow ourselves to truly fully live and be ourselves and not even care about what anyone else thinks? Because at the end of the day, most people are only thinking what they're thinking, and most people are only thinking what they're thinking about what the other person's thinking, and it's vice versa. So really the other person's not thinking about us at all, they're really just thinking about what we're thinking about them. So if you can break through from that and break free from that, you'll be so free. And the second key point here is take full responsibility for your life. And now when I say responsibility, I mean full responsibility, 200% responsibility. Followers blame others. Leaders own everything, every single thing in their reality, every single thing that they see, they own it. The wins, the losses, the failures, the lessons, everything. Even the things that are really not good, they own that. The key to taking control is realizing that no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to do this for you. You are the only one that can and will, and you have everything you need inside of you. It's your job to change your life. No one else can. I wish I could, man. I talk to men all the time. I'm like, I wish I could do the work for you and you'd be able to just change your life completely. I can help you so much, but you still have to do it. And I think that's what makes this work that we do so powerful, is because I'm not doing the work, but I'm showing you how to do it and how to implement it. And I'm taking you to a place inside of yourself that allows you to change. And that's what makes the big difference here inside of the work that we do inside of AMD, inside of our business. So a year or two before I started my business, I was living near the beach up on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland here. And I was walking along the beach, and I can remember, I don't know what triggered this, but I just remembered there was a time that I was blaming my father so much for the way I was, because I was very similar to a lot of the things that he, and I picked up a lot of the things that I perceived he did, and the traits and behaviors and stuff. And so I realized in this moment, like after just starting to do so much work and understanding that responsibility is power, reading, Discipline is Freedom, all these different books around discipline and taking responsibility. And I realized that I had been blaming him for so much, blaming him for so much of the things that the way I thought I was in my life. And obviously if we're blaming someone else, we're a victim. We can't do anything, we're powerless. So I really needed to own that. And so that's when I took responsibility. I'm like, right, I may have picked them up, I may have learned them from him, I don't know, but I can't blame him for it. I need to take responsibility and I need to heal them, I need to change them. It's up to me. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. And that was a big turning point for me, where I was like, right, it's me. No one else is gonna do this. No one's coming to save it. If he changes, that's not gonna change me. I have to change myself. And then the big thing was like, right, the ability that I'm gonna have for my future family, my future kids, to be able to follow a new set of behaviors, like it ran in the family till it ran into me. And so I'm that bloodline breaker, and I hope that you are too. Now, Jim Rohn said, you must take personal responsibility. You cannot change the circumstances, the season, or the wind, but you can change yourself. And this is exactly what I was saying. I couldn't change what happened. I couldn't change the way things were. I couldn't change how I'd picked up and learned all of these things, but I can and I did change myself. And that was the key point. And the third and key point here is create your own standards and your own vision. If you don't set your own rules and if you don't have the direction, someone else will. Let me say that again. If you don't set your own rules, if you don't set your own standards, someone else will. Decide who you want to become, how you want to live, and set the standards that's going to get you there. Set standards so high that they force you to rise. Set standards up here that they lift you up. Now, if you hang around me long enough, I'm gonna pull you up to a higher level of standard, because that's what I have the standards set for myself. I've set very high standards for myself because they align with the value of what I hold for myself. I don't walk through and I don't necessarily eat food that isn't gonna align with my goals, because I have a higher standard for myself. I don't do things, I don't drink, I don't party, I don't go out and do those things because I have a higher standard for myself. Now, I'm not saying that mine's right or wrong, it's just for what's personal for me. And if you hang around with me, most times that standard is probably gonna rub off on you. Now, I don't just walk around and meet someone for the first time if they're drinking and then I bring them to this standard. No, I love everyone, I love what everyone does. Everyone's right, whatever they do, But if they want to get better, if they want to hold themselves to a higher standard, especially the men that come into our programs, I'm holding them to a higher standard because that's what they're here for. And so I'm going to push them. And it's because I've set that high standard for myself. And it just comes from time. We need to really have a clear vision for ourselves, and we need to set that standard. And then we set standards so high that even if we did only hit half of it, it's still a lot higher than what we might think. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. So set your standards super high, and understand that maybe you might not get them, but don't use that as an excuse. You still strive for them, and when you do get them, celebrate them. But if you don't, you still got so much higher than everyone else. Now, Tony Robbins said, if you don't set your own standards, someone else will. So if this is the same context with everything, a lot of people, they don't have their own standards when it comes to their career or their work. Now, don't get me wrong, business is not cut out for everyone. A lot of people, they just like having the security of a paycheck. That's fine. However, that's the standard that you set for yourself. That's the standard that you have. And so your boss or the government or whoever is setting the standard. As I said, someone else will, because you haven't set the standard for yourself. For me, I work whenever I want. I can do anything that I want because I've set that standard for myself in business-wise. Of course, you know, there's always different bits and pieces like laws and legalities and all that. I'm not saying any of that. I mean more in the context of business and freedom, that I set my own standards, so no one else can set them for me. So remember that. If you don't set your own standards, someone else will. You were not born to follow. You were born to lead your own life. You were born to be a leader, especially as a man. You are a leader. Leading is a very masculine trait. The second you stop waiting for permission, and the second you stop asking for permission, and you start taking full responsibility, full ownership, extreme ownership of everything in your life will change. I can tell you that with certainty. It's time to step up, it's time to take control, and it's time to become the man that you know that you can be. Be the man that you were meant to be. And it all comes from taking responsibility. It all comes from owning your standards, owning your vision, and becoming so much better than you've ever thought possible. So drop in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from this, maybe some action step that you're going to take from it. Remember, I got you back for life. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. Message me on socials or drop a comment down here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. You made it to the end of the video, and you are one of the top 1%ers who get to this point. Now, if you're sick and tired of not growing to the level that you want, if you're sick and tired of being the same spot that you were 12 months ago, if you're like, you know what, I've got so much more to offer, but I don't really know how to get there, then if that is you, down below, book in your call with one of my team. Just enter your phone, enter your email, and enter your number. And hey, look, we can't reach you if you enter details that are wrong. So enter your right details. We'll be able to reach out to you. We'll show you the 4 stages that we take men through that's going to completely rip you out of your current situation and push you in a new direction that where you want to go. I will push you as hard as I can to get that outcome for you, because I know how much the life is good on the other side of it when we get out of the shit, when we get onto where we want to go. So click the button, and I'll see you on the other side.